We now turn our attention to some of the residential areas here in Western Australia where someone is putting forth a proposal to ban liquor warehouses there, and Azian Azalan has all the details.
I'm here at the Peninsula Tavern in Maylands, where redevelopment plans of including a big box Dan Murphy liquor store has been facing a few obstacles. Woolworths' majority-owned ALH Group is planning to include a 1,000 square metre Dan Murphy store as part of their redevelopment plans on Railway Parade.
The big warehouses, they call them destination liquor outlets, have a number of links that have been quite well proven into promoting antisocial behaviour around them. They don't set out to do that, but they sell cheap alcohol, and the whole marketing strategy is based on the premise that if you go there, you can buy a lot of grog really cheaply.
Well, from my perspective, it'd be a lot cheaper buying for me personally, buying off them.
Yeah, it'd be good because Dan Murphy's very cheap and it's quite good.
I use Dan Murphy's. Most of my friends use Dan Murphy's. I think perhaps the view that it's going to bring more trouble to the area is perhaps a little bit over the top.
This specific proposal is right on the railway line, and we have been lobbying for a long time to try and better manage the disembarking from the train. Now, that you might think, what's that got to do with drinking liquor? Well, because people who might be doing it tough, or for whatever reason, they might have a drug and alcohol problem, will know exactly where they're going to be picked up if they catch a train to a destination. So there are 16 alcohol outlets already in a 1 kilometre radius of where this is gazetted to be open. That's step one. So the argument about not being able to buy alcohol is a complete furphy. You and I could go to one of 16 within 1 kilometre. We could walk to them and buy alcohol. So it's not about that. There are at least 8 non-government services and government services that deal with the vulnerable within a very small 500 to 800 metres of where the proposed Dan Murphy's is going to be built, particularly when some of those services deal with patients who are on dialysis. You're putting a major cheap liquor store right next to them. It's not a good idea.
Coles has previously tried to build a standalone 1,250 square metre liquor superstore in the nearby area, but faced strong opposition from the community and a Supreme Court loss.
Yeah. I mean, if it's going to be something like that, it should be more in a shopping centre, not right next to where the people's houses are.
It's hugely affecting everything. And I don't know that it's affecting the good life. I think it's affecting the opposite.
There's more of a West Australian-based evidence that shows that destination liquor outlets are more likely to stimulate overconsumption of alcohol. There are issues around youth consumption of alcohol that it's been linked to as well. We're just this little suburb in the middle of this big, this big retail chains that are fighting each other. I just really think as corporate citizens that Coles and Woolies need to have a look at the business case they're working to. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Both the City of Subiaco and City of Vincent have already implemented restrictions on liquor warehouses in residential areas.
Advertising, affordability and availability, the AAA of overconsumption.
And to do this, especially in this country where the population is prone to drink in a stupid way, not to enjoy themselves, but to wipe themselves off, as it's known, and start fights.
With Maylands Labor MP Lisa Baker and majority of the community opposing the plans, it seems the chances of a Dan Murphy being built here are very slim. I'm Azian Arzulan reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, she's back, and this time she went along to a National Student Day Action Rally protest.
The Student National Day of Action is held across all states on the 25th of March to fight against unfair higher education reforms. Over 100 students here in Perth have come together to protest the government's education reforms, which include raising fees for all students, cutting funding for research and reducing repayment thresholds.
No cuts, no fees, no corporate universities, no cuts, no fees, no corporate universities.
So the National Union of Students is a peak representative body for all student guilds. It's sort of the union for the student unions, if you will. we normally run campaigns around student welfare issues and sort of coordinate them nationally. We're here to sort of state our opposition to fee deregulation. It was defeated in the Senate on Tuesday, but Chris Pyne has said that he's going to be bringing it back, and we believe that it needs to be stopped in all forms. We don't believe that fee deregulation will change higher education in this country for the better, so we're here today to state our opposition to that and here to challenge Chris Pyne on his policy. Well, deregulation would create a two-tiered system. It means that it allows universities to charge what they would like, and this would disproportionately affect students from lower socioeconomical backgrounds, as they would consider the debt to be a massive disincentive to pursue higher education, which in turn would mean that there would be universities for those who can afford it and those who can't, and the cheaper ones would in turn produce a lower quality of education. We believe that all education of the same quality should be afforded to all, irrespective of the background that they come from.
Well, Chris Pyne has come back and said that he's not going to give up on deregulation. So basically we're saying, well, we're not going to give up either. We're going to continue the fight. And not only do we want to stop deregulation in its tracks, but we also want more funding. Universities are starved of funding, and that plays out on the campuses too. Overcrowded classes, staff cuts, all of those things.
I'm just an ordinary student like many other students, but I just need my voice to be heard and say no to $100,000 degrees, because I think education is a right, not a privilege, and I want this right to be able to, freely enjoy it by everyone.
The tertiary sector's peak body, Universities Australia, has warned they face a funding crisis and that the defeat of the reforms was disappointing.
The university sector is a key part of the Australian economy, and so I think that the Vice-Chancellors have a key interest in trying to make the sector more profitable, but what that actually means is just extraordinary fees for students, huge fee increases, which means ordinary people won't be able to go to university anymore and will either end up with huge amounts of debt like students in the US have, or just be locked out of the education system entirely.
We would urge anyone who sort of supports the bill to reconsider it, and consider it in the sense that it will disproportionately affect people that they know, people who come from lower, less well-off backgrounds. We believe that when considering such a change too, it fundamentally changes the way that education is provided in this country. So I think people should consider it in that light and hopefully oppose it.
We're just asking equal opportunities for all students, though be international, domestic, Indigenous students, women of basically all students. And I'm not saying that I want free education like in Germany, but that's an ideal situation.
Free education in countries such as Ireland and Germany means there will be social equality in education and no student debt. But in Australia would put pressure on the structure and economy of the Commonwealth HECS help loan. A deregulated university system ensures high quality standards and driven innovations such as the Oxford University in the UK.
There's plenty of money in Australia, it's just about the priorities that the government has. So they'd rather spend money on locking up refugees, on private jets for Tony Abbott, on subsidies to mining and resources, and yet, access to education and healthcare for ordinary people, not a priority for them, but that's why we need to fight for it.
We demand that he abandon the policy of fee deregulation altogether. We also demand that graduates receive better income support and that more funding gets allocated to the higher education sector.
The Higher Education Reform Bill has already been rejected once last year in December. Minister Christopher Pyne is planning to propose the bill again for the third time in the near future. I'm Azian Arzlan reporting for Undercurrent.
We are very busy here at Undercurrent. We get to go to lots of fabulous events, and one of them very recently we sent Melissa Blom along to. It was a Women's Multicultural Day event.
I'm here at the Ishar plaque launch that's all a part of celebrating the diversity of women. The Ishar Multicultural Women's Health Centre will also be celebrating their 23rd anniversary this year, as they have helped thousands of women overcome lifestyle issues through their organisation.
The parks were created at Kings Park in 1999, and it was all just to honour the 100 years of the women's suffrage movement. Isha was, however, not acknowledged at that time. For some reason, it just missed out on that opportunity. But here we are, 16 years later. We are the first organisation to actually have that acknowledgement and privilege to have the name put down here.
The event was joined by Ishar patron Antoinette Kennedy, who has worked with migrants over the years, with the plaque launch therefore being a symbol of empowerment and independence for all women.
The women that are coming here today, what they will take with them is not just the appreciation that Isha's been acknowledged in this fabulous, amazing park, but when they come here to use this park with their friends, with their family, the name of organization that they actually spend a lot of time and many days of the year is there, and it's got a meaning.
Isha CEO Andrea Criado says the milestone achievement for the organisation has been the service delivery that spans over 2 decades, helping over 47,000 women in the health and employment sectors.
Isha has been delivering services to migrant and refugee women for 23 years. And this particular walkway recognizes the important contribution that women's organizations have made to Western Australian women. So it's really important and exciting for us because we are one of the few women's organizations that work only with refugee and migrant women, and we are one of the first to actually be recognized in this walkway for the work we do. The main purpose of our organization is to serve the health and well-being needs of women, and we offer our services through the social model of health, which means that we look at not just the physical or the mental health of the woman, but also the other factors that like housing, employment, social relationships, which are known as the social determinants of health. And we offer programs to women in each of these areas.
The plaque launch was attended by many who enjoyed the outdoor scenery of the park and came together to commemorate the importance of the event.
It celebrates the community of Mirrabooka and women in particular there and how diverse culturally it is.
I think it just recognises the journeys that people have been on in terms of coming to Australia.
This has come as a celebration to show that the women have come alive and they're recognising their rights. They know what is wrong, you know, that shouldn't be happening now. And Isha has done a tremendous job in allowing that for a woman, for empowering a woman to be themselves. And I think it should continue for many, many more years.
It's about the plate that Isha put down there for us women as like remembrance for us, for the women who always come to Isha for years and years, especially like me. I've been with Isha for 20 years now. Yeah, and also like a gathering from all multicultural background, from the refugees ladies and for non-speak English background.
The future of the Isha organisation is yet to become stronger as they continue to educate and assist migrant women into a better life, symbolising resilience and strength. I'm Melissa Blom reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode of Undercurrent for the fabulous Easter long weekend. Hope the weekend finds you well and are having some wonderful time spent with your family and, of course, doing all things Easter. Look forward to seeing you again next week.